Look around your house right now and count the vacuum brands you have owned over the years. Maybe a Hoover upright in the closet, a Dirt Devil hand vac in the garage. Perhaps an Oreck your mother swore by. You believe these are rival companies competing to earn your money with better engineering. That is a lie. One single company you have never heard of, headquartered in Hong Kong, owns all 6 of those names. And over the last 20 years, that company quietly shut down the most famous vacuum factory in America, shipped the jobs to Mexico, and replaced the metal machines your grandmother trusted with sealed plastic units engineered to die. Today, we are going to expose exactly how this happened and show you the only 3 kinds of vacuums you should ever spend your money on again. When you walk into a big box store and look at the vacuum aisle, you see what looks like a healthy marketplace. You see Hoover, you see Dirt Devil, you see Oreck in the specialty shops, you see Royal and Regina names that go back a century, and you assume these brands are fighting each other to build you a better machine. They are not fighting anyone. They are all the same company. A Hong Kong conglomerate called Techtronic Industries, a power tool giant with more than $14 billion in annual sales, owns every single one of those 6 brands. They are not competitors. They are labels on the same corporate shelf. The reason this matters is simple. When one owner controls the Hoover you trusted, the Dirt Devil you grabbed for quick jobs, and the Oreck you thought was the premium American option, there is no competition left to force quality upward. There is only a portfolio to be managed for profit, and to understand the scale of what was lost, you have to understand what these names used to mean. To understand what was stolen, you have to go back to 1908. In North Canton, Ohio, there was a man named William Henry Hoover who ran a leather goods business. An asthmatic janitor named Murray Spangler had cobbled together a crude electric suction sweeper because the dust from his job was choking him. Hoover bought the patent, and he built it into something extraordinary. For the better part of a century, the Hoover factory in North Canton was the beating heart of American floor care. These were machines built from steel and cast aluminum, with metal fans and simple belt-driven brush rolls that a person could repair on a kitchen table with a screwdriver. A Hoover from that era could run for 30 years and get handed down to the next generation. The company employed generations of the same Ohio families. It was, in every sense, an American institution. But institutions are exactly what conglomerates know how to hollow out. In 1989, Hoover was swallowed by Maytag, and longtime owners and repair technicians will tell you that is the exact moment the rot began. The metal started turning to plastic. The quality that built the name began bleeding out, one cost-cutting decision at a time, and that was only the beginning of the betrayal. In 2006, Whirlpool acquired Maytag, and with it, the Hoover brand. But Whirlpool did not want a vacuum business, so in 2007, they sold the North American Hoover brand to Techtronic Industries of Hong Kong for $107 million, and here is where the story turns dark. Within months of buying that legendary name, Techtronic made its decision about the 1908 factory. The president of the floor care division said there was no way the plant could be kept open, that there was simply too much capacity across the company. So they closed it. The factory that an asthmatic janitor and a leather goods salesman had turned into an American icon was shut down, and its work was shipped to El Paso, Texas, and Juarez, Mexico. When you count the plant workers and the wider ripple across the community, the closure ultimately cost the North Canton area close to 2,400 jobs, and somewhere between 18 and 22% of the city's revenue. An entire town built around building the best vacuums in the world watched that purpose get loaded onto trucks and driven away. And if you think Hoover was a special case, understand that this was the pattern everywhere. The Eureka brand, founded in Detroit back in 1909, was sold off to a Chinese appliance giant called Midea. Even the Hoover name itself was split in half across the ocean, with the European rights now sitting in the hands of Haier, another Chinese conglomerate. One by one, the names your family trusted were bought, gutted, and shipped overseas. But losing the factory was only half the betrayal. Because there was one company that held the line, one name that refused to go overseas: Oreck. Founded in 1963 by a man named David Oreck, this was the patriotic Holdout. Oreck built lightweight 8-pound uprights tough enough that more than 50,000 hotels ran them every single day, and David Oreck wrapped the whole company in the American flag. He believed openly that you could control quality only by building your products at home, and for decades he proved it. His son Tom, who ran the company, said it plainly. Overseas manufacturing is about price, he said, but American manufacturing is about value, and that is what our whole model is based on. Their slogan told customers the truth. You can buy a cheaper vacuum, but you will buy them more often. For decades, Oreck was proof that American quality could still survive. And then the same forces that took Hoover came for them. Private equity investors took control in 2003. The founding family was pushed out of its own company, and by 2013, the business that once stood for American manufacturing filed for bankruptcy. And who was waiting at the auction to buy the wreckage for around $17 million? The very same Hong Kong conglomerate that already owned Hoover, Dirt Devil, Royal, and Regina. With that single purchase, the last great American holdout joined the others on the corporate shelf. 6 famous names, 1 owner, 0 competition. But here is the part that should make you angry, because it is happening inside the machine sitting in your closet right now. The vacuums being sold under these heritage names today are not built like the machines that made the names famous. The metal fans and gears that used to last for decades have been replaced with cheap plastic that cracks and strips. The serviceable bag designs, the ones you could open up and fix with simple tools, have been replaced by sealed bagless units that are riveted and glued shut, with batteries you cannot replace and bearings you cannot reach. When something inside fails, and it is designed to fail, you do not repair it, you throw the entire machine in a landfill and buy another one. This is not your imagination. Consumer Reports found that the typical vacuum today lasts a median of just 8 years. And the cheap plastic units at the bottom of the aisle often give up in 3 to 5. Compare that to the 30-year metal Hoover your grandmother owned, the one that still runs in somebody's basement today. Even the premium darling of the modern market is not immune. Repair technicians taking apart high-end cordless units have found cheap capacitors, parts that cost about $1, cooking themselves to death in a couple of years, the kind of failure that has people openly using the phrase planned obsolescence. And because the whole machine is sealed shut, that $1 part takes the entire vacuum down with it. The business model is no longer about building a machine that lasts a lifetime. It is about selling you the same machine over and over every few years, forever. The genius of it is that they kept the names you trust on the outside, so you never suspect the thing inside has been quietly engineered to expire. So if every famous name on that shelf is compromised, does that mean you should give up and just keep buying disposable plastic? No. It means you have to stop shopping like a consumer and start hunting like an auditor. The first move is to stop buying new and start buying the machines built before the conglomerates got their hands on them. Hunt down a vintage Kirby from before the year 2000, the ones with the cast metal bodies. These things were built like tanks. The parts are still available, and a good one will outlive you. Look for a vintage Hoover convertible built before 1990, before the Maytag takeover started the decline, with its metal fan and a belt you can replace in 2 minutes. Or find an old Electrolux or Aris metal canister from before the year 2000. People routinely report these running well past 25 years of service. These machines were built in an era when a vacuum was an investment, not a disposable, and they show up at estate sales, in thrift stores, and online for a fraction of what a new plastic unit costs. The seller almost never knows what they have. To them, it is an old, heavy vacuum. To you, it is a machine that will outlast everything on the shelf at the store. The second move is to buy from the handful of brands that still build serviceable machines and still sell them the right way. There is a company called Tacony in St. James, Missouri, that still assembles vacuums in the United States under the Riccar and Simplicity names. Bagged machines designed to be repaired and to last for decades. There is Aris, the direct descendant of the old American Electrolux, sold through hundreds of local franchise dealers who will still service what they sell. And there are the German engineers at Sibo and Miele, who build sealed hospital-grade machines sold through independent dealers, not dumped on a big box shelf. That dealer channel is the whole point. These companies deliberately refuse to sell through Walmart and Amazon because they are protecting a model built on parts, service, and machines that last 20 years instead of 3. When you buy from a local dealer, you are buying a relationship with someone who can fix the machine, not a faceless logo that wants you back in the store every 3 years. But there is a third option, and it is the best kept secret among the people who clean for a living. You can buy a commercial grade machine. The janitorial world never accepted disposable plastic because a cleaning crew cannot afford to have a machine die every 3 years in the middle of a contract. So companies like ProTeam, Sanitaire, and the commercial Oreck line still build simple, rugged, repairable workhorses, and almost nobody realizes a regular person is allowed to buy them. Walk into a janitorial supply store or search the commercial listings online, and you can buy the exact machine that hotels and hospitals trust, with warranties measured in years and bodies built to be rebuilt rather than thrown away. Even better, hotels and cleaning services rotate their equipment every few years on contract, which means lightly used commercial units show up on the secondary market constantly for $50 to $150. You are buying a machine engineered for 8 hours of daily abuse at the price of a toy from the big box aisle. It will never look glamorous. It does not have an app or a charging dock or a glowing light. It just runs and runs and runs. The era of the disposable vacuum was not an accident, and it was not progress. It was a business decision made in a boardroom to take names that Americans trusted for a century and turn them into plastic that fails on schedule. They are counting on you to see 6 familiar logos and believe you have a choice. You do not. You have one owner wearing 6 masks. But now you know the game, and you know the way out. Check the materials before you buy. Hunt the vintage metal. Buy from the dealers and the commercial suppliers who never stop building things to last. Do not hand your retirement money to a Hong Kong conglomerate for a machine designed to betray you when a vacuum built to run for 30 years is still out there, sitting in a thrift store or a janitor's closet, waiting for you to find it. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe, because we are just getting started exposing how they hollowed out the brands you grew up trusting.